ID brags about overthrowing governments. They bragged about supporting military coups and color revolutions in the Middle East, Asia, and Ukraine. And we just found out the Biden administration was paying the press. During the last 4 years, Politico received $26 million from the federal government. $8 million just last year. The Biden administration was paying a DC insider publication that happened to never report anything bad about the Biden administration. Well, what did they pay for besides good press? The government says it was for subscriptions to Politico Pro. Well, what's Politico Pro? It's supposed to give you inside scoops or exclusive reporting about the federal government. It's been around since 2010, but all of a sudden in 2021, the Biden administration starts buying hundreds of Politico Pro subscriptions. And a subscription runs anywhere from $10,000 to $75,000 a year. Those are like top tier country club dues. For $75,000, this exclusive reporting must be pretty good, right? Now, no one ever read in Politico Pro that Biden was brain dead. Now, if I'm going to pay $75 grand for journalism, I want to know whose coke was in the White House. Politico Pro isn't even for people in government. It's for lobbyists. You pay $75 grand a year for the name and email address of a regulator at the FDA. So you can email them, wine them, and dine them at Cafe Milano, and then grease the regs for Pfizer or Kraft or whoever your client is. You find out when the farm bill's about to pass, so you can send your lobbyists into the back room and write the bill. It's not for people in the government. What do people at the Department of Energy need to pay $75 grand to find out what's going on in the Department of Energy? Mayorkas needs to know what's going on with the border bill. All he has to do is call Chuck Schumer. The phone call's free. This doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is a racket. This was a bailout. Biden's government didn't need this. It's a payoff product. Because when they started paying Politico, they tanked the laptop. They covered up Biden's nap times. The USAID chief, Samantha Power, Politico wrote a puff piece about her, called her a celebrity. Have you ever heard of celebrity Samantha Power? Politico didn't get paid to do journalism. They got paid to stop doing journalism. Now, I read Politico. I read it every day. I like it. It's got good reporting in there. But I'm not funneling $26 million of taxpayer money over there in exchange for good coverage. I'm sure a few people at the federal government have Wall Street Journal subscriptions for $59 a year, not $75,000. And if you're trying to save a few dollars, share your password and logins with your staff. You don't get them all $75,000 a year subscriptions. Primetime reached out to Politico and we didn't hear back. The White House says the government paying journalists, that's getting doged.
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now.
How critical is government funding to Politico's bottom line? Not sure, but on the day of the freeze, they couldn't make payroll for a couple hours. It's not just Politico. The New York Times got millions. BBC got money. PolitiFact was funded by the Biden administration. Biden was censoring you and funding independent fact checkers to call you a liar. Kamala took your money and paid Sharpton. Biden took your money, gave it to Politico, gave it to donors to build solar panels. The left somehow looks like one big astroturfed money laundering shell game. Remember, the CIA has a history of planning scoops with journalists.
Disseminate propaganda to influence people's minds, and this is a major function of the CIA. You have contact with a journalist, you will give him true stories, you'll get information from him, you'll also give him false stories. You also work on their human vulnerabilities to recruit them in a classic sense, to make them your agent so that you can control what they do. 400 journalists cooperating with the CIA, including some of the biggest names in the business, to consciously introduce the stories into the press.
Journalists were on CIA payrolls.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
So if intelligence agencies, which is kind of what the USAID is financing the American media, that's state-run media. And if Kamala would have won the election, the money would have kept flowing. Politico must have known that. They wrote puff pieces about how fantastic she was. I wonder if that was connected. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Trump got elected and caught him. We're only in week 3. Who else is getting paid? Mark Moyer, he's a USAID whistleblower, and he joined